Welcome to my channel. There are certain places in our world that humans should never go, things we shouldn't see, and questions we shouldn't even begin to ask. But curiosity is one of mankind's greatest flaws, and sometimes the worst thing you can do is just ask. What happens when man dares to discover what he wasn't meant to? Well, let me tell you about a town that built itself upon the bones of dead dragons. It was 1968, when two men set off to explore the remote highlands of Scotland. It was a place so wild and rugged that only hardy mountain goats could survive, where rolling hills plunged off into deep gorges and rivers tumbled down rocky ravines. These two men were not goat herders, but they may as well have been, because the journey was long, hard, and miserable. Finally, after days of travel, they reached their destination, an isolated glen hidden away from the rest of the world. And there, lying before them, were the ruins of an ancient chapel. But that wasn't all. Within the crumbling stone walls, they found strange markings, mysterious symbols that seemed almost alien in nature. They didn't know it at the time, but these symbols would lead to the discovery of an entire civilization, the likes of which the world had never seen. The chapel stood right in the center of Dragonbane Valley, and as the archaeologists began to dig, they uncovered the bones of not just dragons, but many dragons. This would be the first of many discoveries in the region. As word spread about the incredible find, scientists and historians flocked to the area. What they were about to unearth would change history forever. Archaeologists found that the valley was once home to a large community of people who lived during the Iron Age, and this was no ordinary settlement. This was the lost village of the Dragon Masters. Their settlement stood at the base of a dormant volcano called Craig y Drag, which means Dragon's Peak. For centuries, the people of Dragonbane Valley had worshipped the volcano as the home of dragons. They believed that the dragons lived inside its fiery belly, just waiting for the day they would be needed. And when push came to shove, the dragons did come out and help defend the village against invaders. But the valley was eventually abandoned for unknown reasons. Legend said that the dragons vanished as suddenly as they had appeared, leaving the villagers behind. And now, over 2,000 years later, archaeologists were finally able to prove it. The people of Dragonbane Valley hadn't made up the dragons. Dragons had really existed. The people must have used their knowledge of the local geography to build their town on the bones of dead dragons. This would explain why their remains were always visible throughout the archaeological site. Their buildings, tools, and weapons were all fashioned from Dragonbane, and their connection to the spiritual realm was so strong that even today, people report hearing strange sounds coming from the old village site. To this day, nobody knows exactly why the village was abandoned or what happened to the dragons. But there are rumors that suggest the dragons may still be watching over us from somewhere. Some say that every full moon, when the veil between our world and the spirit world is at its thinnest, the dragons come out to play. The elders of the nearby towns tell stories of strange lights and sounds echoing through the valleys on those nights. In fact, one couple saw something terrifying with their own eyes while driving home late at night. The car was crawling along the single-track road that wound through the mountains when suddenly they saw something emerge from the darkness ahead. It was huge, like nothing they had ever seen before. It looked like a giant lizard, all scaly and gray and green, with massive wings that beat the air like thunder. And then it was gone. Just like that, it disappeared back into the shadows. They had seen the legendary beast for themselves, the very same creature that had supposedly protected the Dragon Masters all those years ago. The couple didn't stop to think about it too much, though. Instead, they floored it and tried to put as much distance between themselves and the creature as possible. They told the story to everyone they knew, but nobody believed them. The locals had heard similar stories before, and they always ended up being just that, stories. But this couple was adamant that they had seen what they had seen, and that if they had been given the chance, they would recognize that creature anywhere. That's when the nightmares began. First, it was just a feeling, a sense of dread that would wash over them as they lay in bed trying to sleep. Then the dreams started creeping in. Every night they would dream of the same thing, of the creature looming over them, its hot breath on their necks, its cold eyes boring into theirs. And with each passing night, the dreams became more real, more vivid. Then one morning, a farmer woke up early to tend to his fields. As he walked out into the crisp air, he saw something lying in the middle of his potato field. At first, he thought it was a fallen angel, so large and strange did it look. It was covered in scales, and its skin was the color of old bruises. Its wings were huge, like tattered black sails. And its eyes, oh God, its eyes burned with a cold fire. He ran back to town screaming, but nobody listened. They thought he'd lost his mind. So he went back out into the field alone to confront whatever it was that had landed there. He wasn't sure what he expected to find, but it wasn't the sight that greeted him. The creature was gone. In its place, there was just a small pile of ashes. Ashes that didn't belong to any human. Soon, others began to see it too, not just the creature, but the ashes. It became clear that the creature had been there, that it had visited them in their sleep and fed on their fears. Nobody was safe. Not the children playing in the fields, not the old woman tending her garden, not even the priest saying his prayers in the church. And the worst part was they had no idea why. Why was the creature haunting them? What did it want? What did it mean? Some said it was a warning, a sign that the end times were near. Others said it was a curse, a punishment for the sins of their fathers. They turned to the old ways for help, to the forgotten magic of their ancestors. They gathered around bonfires and chanted ancient words of power, trying to drive out the evil that had taken root in their midst. But the creature was strong, and its hold on their town was growing stronger by the day. One by one, the townspeople fell victim to its power, driven mad by their nightmares, or simply vanishing without a trace. Before long, the entire town was in ruins, abandoned and haunted by the creature of their nightmares. Some say it's still there to this day, waiting for someone to awaken it. And maybe that's what will happen. Maybe one day soon the creature will rise again and terrorize the world. Or maybe it's best that we forget about it, that we leave the old magic undisturbed. After all, some things are best left buried in the past. What do you think? Is there a place in the world that you should never go? Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked this video, be sure to check out my other videos about haunted places and scary creatures. Thanks for watching.